What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. So this video just serves as a 2-year, I guess, ownership review of the Ferrari F430. This specific Ferrari F430, not F430s in general, because this Ferrari F430 is a high mileage F430. It's currently at 53,900 miles, believe it or not. It is looking still extra clean. You know, it's not perfect. It has, scratches here and there, but that's because of its, the fact that it's driven and not parked. I actually drive this, but I also bought it. I'm the third owner, I believe, and I bought it already high mileage. So I got it at 51,000 miles. I'll link videos up here in this area of my previous videos talking about this car. When took delivery of the car and things like that. If you guys don't already know, I made videos of this car before when I got it, and the first services and ownership and stuff like that. But I just want to report back. This is the second year of me owning this car, and I just got back from the annual service yesterday. So annual services on these, you don't really have to do it every year unless you're curious on how you're doing with the car. I do it because I want the data, because it's the first 2 years of me owning the car. I want to know, because on my first major service, when I took delivery of the car, there was a lot of stuff that was done to get this right. Like you've heard me say, it's a high mileage car. I bought it at 51,000 miles. So specifically, I was looking for something like that. I don't want a showpiece. I don't want a display piece in my garage. I want something that I could drive guilt-free. I was lucky to find this one, honestly, even though I had to spend a lot to get it right. But that's how it is with Ferraris. You can't get a cheap Ferrari. There's no such thing as a cheap Ferrari. You have to pay in one way or another. If you do pay for a low mileage one, you will start at like this, at the high end, and then you pay a little bit in maintenance to get it like dialed in. But that's exactly what I mean. So you either pay upfront or you pay a little bit low, and then you kind of fix it as you go, and then you kind of end up somewhere at the same amount anyway. So it depends on what you want to do. So if you're looking to just hold on to it and hope that it increases value, store it or whatever, yeah, you can get those low mileage ones and maintain it. But I personally want to drive it, and I want to enjoy it, and I want to own it. So I've thought about selling this car before, but I actually decided to just keep it forever because it's just too good right now. And my mechanic, Roberto at Roselli's, we dialed this in, and this, based on what he said, for a high mileage Ferrari, this is one of the healthiest engines he's ever seen. And because the fact that it's driven, and that's my point for this video, if you're looking for exotic cars, think about what your goal is. Like, are you looking for something, like I said, that you would just want to look at and enjoy in the garage, and hopefully that it increases value over time, or you want something that you want to drive guilt-free? So you can drive a low mileage one, but it does take a hit on the price, your resale value, if you rack up the miles like I did. But well, I didn't really rack up the miles, but it was already 51,000 miles. But in 2 years, I put 2,000 miles on the car. That's okay. That's actually pretty okay. That's actually mild, because I do have other, motorcycles and things that I do. I don't just drive this car. But it's just, I want to report back, there's different ownership goals here. So at 53,000 miles, 53,900 miles, the car right now is at its best condition ever. So if you guys have the time, please watch that video where I detailed line by line item all the things that was fixed on this car when I first got it, and it was staggering. The price was insane, but like I said, you either pay upfront or you pay in increments as you go, and that's what I did. So I got the car in Atlanta, Georgia, had it shipped here. It was my first exotic car, dream car. And it's still every time I look at it, it's still one of the best looking Ferraris you could actually buy for the price. I know there's a lot that's subjective. I actually want a F355 before too, but it's just I can't find the right one yet. So, but this one came along first. So this one I decided to just keep forever, as long as I can. We did spend so much time in it, it's so much effort to get it right. The fixing of the dash, I had the dash replaced, if you guys remember. The dash was completely redone. It's still holding up very, very nice. The leather is brand new. So the only thing that I'm looking into doing next is maybe reupholstering, not reupholstering, just refreshing the seats. The seats are, if you can see, it is showing its age and like just rub marks and stuff like that. So these are the Daytona seats. These are the, the cliche Ferrari seats. This is what you want to have when you get an F430 or, any Ferrari really. The Daytona seats are the cliche. This is the best resale setup that you can get. It's the red over tan. Here you go, red over tan, Rosa Corsa. But I was lucky enough to find this one with the options that it has. The carbon fiber package, the color combo, because some of them come with tan dash. I'm not really a fan of that. Would like the tan, that this has just the right amount of tan. So, and it has the red piping on the seats. It's nice, and it has the extended leather on the back, which is also an option, oddly enough, because some of them will have just the carpet back here. And as you can see, red stitching all over, and then also I think this one also is an option, the leather, extended leather thing. I don't know, it's kind of weird, like they charge you for leather for everything. So yeah, it's just I'm planning on working on the interior someday, but I'm pretty satisfied with what it is. It's one of those things that it's good enough. You can stop now, but sometimes I get carried away and keep spending. But it's just one of those things. Like, I aim to have everything really perfect, and which is kind of stupid because that's like the wrong scenario, the wrong thing to make perfect here. This is a driver's car; it'll never be perfect. But it's just how I own my things. If you can see here, the rocker still needs some work. This is not cracking paint. This is the clear bra cracking. So it's just an old clear bra, and stuff like this. Like, if you actually look at it really hard, you'd be like, oh, let's just fix it. But like, it's good enough for a driver's car, so it's not perfect. Yeah, roll quickly. Let's go over what else did I do on the car. The dash was redone, like I mentioned. The tires are brand new now. I had a full paint correction and ceramic coating on the whole car. And what else did I do? Front bumper clear bra has been replaced completely. Actually, the whole front end clear bra has been replaced completely. And then else. One of the biggest things, I think, in conjunction with the interior dash is the intake manifold. I also had it recoated because when I got this F430, this was had a huge chunk missing out of here because like it just flakes off over time because of heat. But now you can see it's brand new. It's one of those things that you have to do, even though it's cosmetic, because you see it. It's a glass bonnet there, so you have to. This is basically the showpiece of the car, and I still have the carbon fiber airbox covers. This came with the car. It's trying to bubble a little bit, so that's one of those things too that you don't know. Let's say for the Scuderia, this engine bay is really, really hot. So imagine there's carbon fiber panels on the Scuderia. This happens to the carbon fiber pieces on the Scuderia. So basically the clear coat kind of lifts a little bit. So it's one of those things, like, it's cool to have those carbon fiber panels and all that, but there's heat. So if you're gonna manage the heat as much as possible, you open this hood when you're done driving. So when you're in a drive or a group ride or a car meet, you have to open, not just because you want to show it, but it actually helps, the carbon fiber pieces in there to breathe and, get the hot air out. This just happens and you can't help it. That's just the material exposed to a lot of heat. There's a lot of heat going on around here. So I'm not looking to change this to carbon fiber anytime soon unless, I got a good deal on it. But like I said, this thing happens and you cannot buff that out. That's the material doing that. What else did I do? The valves on the exhaust I pulled. the hoses, so they're stuck open. Yeah, so right now they sound really, really good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So here it is, 53,900 miles. Annual services are really crazy with this cars. It depends on where you go. I'm very lucky to have met Roberto at Roselli's. You know, everyone knows who he is. He's accredited installer for the 6-speed gated. If you guys are looking to do that with your exotics, he's the man. You know, like I was just lucky that he's in the Bay Area. He's in the same area as me when I got my car. I drove this car all the way back to San Jose just to see him because that's how much I love that guy. He helped me out and he was super honest. So I recommend him if you have an exotic car in the Bay Area to go to him and give him your business because he's gonna be honest with you and let you know what you really need to do at a fair price. So he got me dialed in with this car. Yeah, so my wheels, they have the challenge wheels. I love that. Some of them don't have that, and I have the Scuderia shields on the side, which is also an option. We just, you gotta have it. It just makes the car, it just makes the look of the car, to be honest with you. So what I'm trying to get at ultimately is if you're gonna buy a Ferrari, right? It's hard to tell people that don't be afraid of the high mileage one. It's a double-edged sword, so don't be afraid of the high mileage one because that high mileage Ferrari usually have been serviced more, far more frequent because of the driving and the mileage, and hopefully it's been serviced. That's kind of like what you're looking for is a car that's been serviced more than the one that's been sitting is tend to be more reliable than the one that's been parked in the garage with 8 or 4,000 miles. To be honest with you, at this point of my ownership of the F430, Roberto has told me that, cars, for example, cars with like 4,000 miles, they can't sit, machines cannot sit. They have to be running heat cycle and stuff like that, or else the stuff get brittle and they crack. But this car with 53,000 miles, the engine is so smooth. I drove it basically 300 miles round trip to get to his shop and back home. And I think that was the craziest thing I've ever done on this exotic car because I was basically road tripping it, but I got brand new tires, so I wasn't worried. And it went there, it went back. I got a good health report. My clutch wear, here it is, my clutch wear for 2 years of ownership, because I had the clutch replaced when I got it in 2019. I only used 10% of it. So 2,000 miles or so and only 10% clutch wear. I guess I was pretty good at it. I don't have enough data to know if 10% is good or bad. Maybe, I'm in the middle ground, but I was expecting more because I went through hills and stuff like that, but I know how to be in a good gear, if you know what I mean. I know how to be in a good gear where I'm not lugging the engine, I'm not riding the clutch in certain scenarios, because I would say it's comparable to like an SMG M3. I had an SMG M3 before, and I know how to drive that thing, or else you're gonna ride the clutch. So things like that, I've had my experience with other cars before that kind of helped me manage how this car is, and it's a really nice car to drive, and you guys have to drive it. Like if you have an exotic, you gotta drive it. You can't just park it and rot, it'll rot and everything else falling apart inside. I don't know, it's just my take. You use what you bought. It's a lot of money, and I don't know, some people don't have the time. I get that. I personally don't have all the time, but I take time on some weekends to actually just drive it, on the freeway and let it out, and then kind of go back and just, even though it's a chore, sometimes it feels like a chore, which is kind of crazy to say, because I have to get out and make time to drive it, and I don't really want to drive right now, that kind of stuff. But like, it just it's hard for me to let it go, because it took so much effort to get it to where it is now. To even acquire the car, it took so much effort. Flying to Atlanta, looking at it, having it shipped, fixing all the issues for a whole year. Now I have it back. Yeah, now I have it back. It's like it took a whole journey, to be honest with you, to get it to where it is now. Right now, I don't know. So right now I'm at a stopping point. I don't really have to do annual service. every single year. I feel like that's, for me, I just wanted to do the 2 consecutive years to get good data on how I use the car, to be honest with you. Like, okay, now I get it. Now I know I'm not very hard on the car. Like it's a good enough like a check. It's like a good enough progress report, or on my ownership. So 2 years. First year I got an oil change. I was good. Second year, today is the second year. Okay, I'm still good. So next year maybe I can skip the annual service and do it again the following year. I can do it every other year. I mean, annual service is just an oil change, and they check everything else. If there's nothing wrong that I notice, I don't think it's fruitful. I mean, the oil will last 1 or more years. It's not crazy. It's not like a special oil that degrades over like just 1 year. But if you're OCD, I am OCD myself, and you can do that. It's not that much for a whole year's worth of ownership. You spend like $800 to $1,000. It's not that bad in terms of what the car is, but you can get away with every other year, and it may be more fruitful for you if you don't really drive the car. I only put 2,000 miles in 2 years, and that's kind of 2,000 miles or so, 51,000 miles, right? And then almost 3,000 miles, because it's 2,900 miles. So okay, I was downplaying it a little bit there. So 2,900 miles in 2 years for an exotic, that's not so bad. So you kind of, your mileage may vary on your own terms and your comfortability. So anyway, hopefully that was long-winded, but I just want to report to you guys, like, if you guys are looking for exotic car someday, don't be afraid of the high mileage. It's not so bad to own one, but of course do your research and make sure that you know what you're buying, because when I went to Atlanta, I looked at it. I know what I was getting into. Maybe 95% I knew what I was getting into. The last 5%, I kind of just winged it, but for the most part, I knew what I was doing. And I think at this point in my life, at this point in time, going through the whole journey, I think it was worth it. To be honest with you, it was worth it. Right now, the only thing left to do here is if I really want to dial in the cosmetics. There's I think the diffuser on here is still scraped, and it bothers me sometimes, but not really. That's from the previous owner, and the wheels have some curb rashes on them from the previous owner. You can't really tell, but they are there. And I notice all these things, and I know all of them. It's just, it's just up to me. It's up to me if I really want to tackle those things, and I don't really have to. And that's the thing. You can stop at some point, whatever fits your needs. But it's presentable every time I take it to Cars and Coffee, group meets, and things like that. My other friends, they think it's a showroom condition car, and that's one of those things. Like, I aim for perfection, and when you aim for that, even if you don't reach it, you're still at a good spot. It's still a super nice car at the end of the day. So yeah, hopefully you get something out of that. I kind of rambled there, but yeah, it's just, don't be afraid of high mileage exotics. Just do your research. It's as with anything. And because these cars, when there's miles on them, they're at a really good price. It gives you a lot of headroom to do some fixing that you have to do. You just kind of have to measure, how much fixing do you want to do. That's for your own personal assessment there. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I see you guys on the next video, and hopefully this video was informative. All right. See you guys next time.